Sure, I guess I'm lighting, right?
Hello, welcome to Black Witch Chronicles.
We're live. Welcome to the 2015 edition of the Black Witch Chronicles with Dr. G Love,
Hi, that's
Whoop,
me.
whoop.
Lakeesha Harris,
Whoop, whoop. That's me.
and I'm
Welcome,
Zoe
20.
Flowers. Happy New Year, everybody. And so let's get it started tonight.
Yes. Okay. We bringing that love in.
Yeah, we're bringing in the love. We are observing the full moon in Cancer tonight. So we're bringing in the love and the divine energy, the feminine energy. We're bringing it all tonight.
That's
Ashe.
right. And I'm just loving the red, the blues, the divine hues of love and inspiration. I guess I can kick this off with a question if you all don't mind.
Sure.
So I guess kind of the things that I've been struggling with like love narratives is that they're kind of just kind of linear. You love, you get married, you have children, and we know love doesn't operate in those very linear, very straight lines. Um, what do we, queer people of color, um, and straight people of color, bring to the narrative that is unusual yet a divine purpose and a divine center for our people?
Ooh. Oh, I need some time on that one. Can you repeat that question? Look.
So love being the constructs of love that we see in like the popular narrative of
Yeah.
woman meets man, get married, have children, and everything is hunky-dory in their lives. We kind of discussed this a little bit in our last segment about how we love sometimes our oppressors within our families, how we love people who have caused us trauma still to this day, and love not being linear. So what do we oppressed people of color bring to the loving and healing narrative, the ritualistic narrative of love that can be used by our people?
So I think looking at sort of, I think as a woman who dates men and loves them, I think that it can be really challenging when you're a certain type of woman that doesn't fit that linear aspect. So I think just thinking about sort of our dedication to love no matter what, I think is what people of color can bring to the world, right? So I'm just thinking about, for women, all the things that we go through dealing with men, and we still find a way to love them. We still want to believe in certain things, even though there may not be anything in our current history or our distant past. We still want to believe certain things. So I just think our want for love, our dedication to love, no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I come from a strong village legacy of family and community. Um, you know, uh, Parents may come and go, and children may be placed in a home with a grandparent or an aunt or a neighbor. And I was raised in a village environment, so that's my natural inclination. And I continue to do that. Uh, I'm in a family. I live with family now, caretaking an ill elder, and there are a whole bunch of us here. We came as a family to help our elder. So her children, her blood children, as well as myself. Her taken on child from me growing up being a neighbor kid who was always, knock, knock, knock at the door, just in time to eat or play or do anything. I was that kid, and it's interesting all these years to find myself back in that environment. Um, really being loved. The reciprocation of love that's here for all of us living here and sharing and compromising and really showing a lifetime of love is a great lesson for me right now. Caretaking my elder is a great lesson, and being with my brothers and sisters is a beautiful lesson. And it's afforded me an opportunity to do some of the deeper wound healing work from my own childhood by coming back. So for me, this isn't romantic love per se, but it very much is, the love of the people, especially, in the context of saying, oppressed people of color. Our history in this country includes so much displacement and so much separation of family that we're able to really know how to be there for each other on so many levels. And I think that sort of Disney narrative or the fairy tale narrative of growing up and living happily ever after with one person is so opposite of the life that I always led that it did mess with my mind. It caused me a lot of confusion because it's not my natural inclination. So I continue to, co-create templates of loving care with my partners and lovers that astound me. And as the years go by, I really find that love is about mutual respect. Mutual respect, knowing that we're all survivors and that we may not even philosophically connect, but we're spiritually connecting. And I'm able to really embrace that spiritual connection and know that life is so much more complicated than any linear narrative that's ever been fed to me or that I've ever thought of. As the decolonization process continues to show me, like, wow, I don't know anything. It's all just ideas, all just ideas. And now I realize it's like if I trust in my path and I trust in my spirit and a lover comes into my life, I can trust that person's character and spirit has come to work with me, and it's about really making sure that I don't fall into any of those narratives and start having fantasies that aren't coming from a realistic place, but that are just coming from a storyline that's in my head. And that's been actually really exciting to be capable of doing that and not sort of fall to a Disney story or happily ever after story. I feel like I'm growing up and maturing with love.
And I think that's not, that Disney is not our story, but I think it's so important to, remember that we're here because people loved us and they didn't even know us, like those people that were able to survive those slave ships and survive those whippings and pick that cotton and all of those things. It's like all those things they did, the way I believe, they did that for us, and they didn't even know who we were. So I feel like as people of color, we have a responsibility to love, each other and ourselves and that next generation, which is, very African.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring about to the table loving in the gaps, because when I was very young, my father was incarcerated, and I thought that my father had just given me up, didn't love me, and he was wrongfully incarcerated. And I had to make a decision when he did finally come back into my life, which is just such divine on-time spirit, because he passed away like 3 years later. When he finally did come back into my life, making the decision to love him where he was at, negating the past, however I felt about it, and what I did was loved him as he was, as he presented himself to me. And I think that I made a conscious decision to love and accept him. And then also, Loving in the Gaps, I'm coming up on the second anniversary of my granddaughter passing away. And sometimes I think that we don't give ourselves permission to love those who have departed because it's too hard for us. We forget them. We fail to call their names out. Um, we don't celebrate their lives or their presence that was in once in our lives. Um, and I'm also dealing with loving my brother who is currently incarcerated and going to picking that love up and going finally to see him incarcerated. Even though that pains me, and the reason why he's in prison pains me even more, because he was abusive to women. Um, Dealing with that out of love and saying, I still love you. This is the hard part. We don't get to escape from love, and we really don't get to escape from our family. Sometimes we have to deal with the hard parts and still love anyway. So loving in the gaps, giving ourselves permission to love those who are not in our lives for a moment, or in the spirit realm, and continuing to love and be gentle on ourselves.
Ashe. Celeste, baby Celeste, calling out your name.
Yes, calling out her name.
Yes, baby Celeste, we love you and appreciate you in the spirit realm.
Ashe.
Yeah. Loving in the gap is crucial. That really is about self-love for me because, again, smoke and mirrors the politics that have been taught to me and the ideals and what's wrong, none of which really resonate with me. It's been hard for me to love on a level because loving in the gaps has been such a challenge. This sort of story that gets told that, someone did wrong, so I'm supposed to have an attitude of distrust and dislike and maybe even hatred towards this person, when in fact I know that I grew up with this person and I love this person and they mean a lot to me. I don't approve of the choices that they're making in their life. Their choices may in fact be harming me. But I can't go linear on that either. I have to acknowledge the deep love that I have for the people in my life who may have caused me a lot of harm or who may have been a part of sort of the larger story of trauma. And then I find that over the years I was really incapable of loving myself in the gaps, like the places where I'm flawed and the places where my trauma shows itself. Like, I can't really heal that trauma right now because I don't know how to love what's so-called wrong about me. And that's been about rewriting the story too, really about rewriting that narrative so that I can truly live in a place of acceptance, rather than always living in the ideal of the world that I want to see myself living in, which is obviously not the world that's here, and then bringing that to sort of the prismatic community, the Black prismatic world and the queer people of color. I use the phrase prismatic to refer to queer people. That's been a beautiful community in my life. It's really been a community of learning to love. It's an international community. There is this real sense that that there's a real sense of bravery that we all have in service to love. Like the reason why we are finding ourselves, outcast, our family, communities, workplaces, just, going into life-threatening circumstances, all behind this deep, heartfelt, guided love movement. And I've just learned so much about support and love over the years from my international prismatic community. Just that ability to meet a person, to meet a soul, meet souls, and know that we are related in a love zone, that what brings us together is a boldness and a courage toward love and a burning desire to express ourselves in every way that we feel guided to, has probably been one of my greatest love teachers.
So, I just pulled from the goddess deck Minerva. And Minerva is all about beliefs. So, what I'm hearing as we have this conversation about love is to, rethink, reimagine everything we think we know about love, which is so much of what G you were saying in the beginning of the call. And so for me, for myself, I'm really being challenged to challenge my beliefs about love. Challenge my beliefs about myself, challenge my beliefs about my mother, my family, and to challenge my beliefs about the requirements of love.
Right. I think Spirit is calling us to the table, to the carpet again. You know, how can we reimagine this movement that we're finding ourselves in? This civil rights, and a lot of people are calling it a new civil rights movement. Um, and how can we reimagine that will so that we don't reinvent old tactics and try to apply them to new dynamics, and also be so aware of love that love can transmute this hate, this negative energy that we're all feeling, this heavy energy that we're all feeling, and what lessons can we learn from it?
Yeah, well, it was, to my awareness anyway, I think three Black prismatic women who, came up with the Black Lives Matter hashtag, which
Mm.
has really been a real galvanizing place of love and commitment for the larger global community and certainly for the national community in the continuation of the civil rights movement. And, that's really brought the question of dissonance to the table because there are people in this movement right now who have been averse to one another. There are people in this movement right now who haven't known how to respect each other, who've been judging each other based on, again, a script that's been told to them, not based on knowing each other. And I'm seeing this connection of the community, and a connection of the hashtag Black Trans Lives Matter, Black Queer Lives Matter, and a real understanding that as a people we must move forward, and that again, we don't necessarily understand or appreciate all of what we do, but that we continue to be moving together toward freedom. And I feel like there is a lot of understanding and love happening on the front lines and in the backstage in the Black Lives Matter movement. I really am so appreciative of some of the dissonance that's happening, because it's not just like, oh, I squashed you because I have dominant power of heteronormativity or whatever it is. Right now it's really like, oh, I need you, so we're working together. So now I have to go back to my seat and think. I have to actually give some consideration to you as a human being, to you as a soul that I respect, and revisit all of my sort of colonized belief systems. And that for me is also just a big piece of heartfelt appreciation for what I see happening in the country.
And that takes a lot of vulnerability. Like for people to say, oh, I was wrong. Let me pull myself back. Let me learn from you. Let me cry with you, because it's very deep when somebody can sit and cry with you and break down those barriers of masculinity, or I'm the strong Black woman, so I have to endure everything on my own and by myself. That narrative, crushing that narrative, and just being vulnerable as a community. So let's talk about vulnerability and love, because it's deep.
Well, the last call we had, I had a real vulnerable moment talking about my history of child sexual abuse, and then when the next round of questions came, of like, well, what are you doing? And we started to talk about doing the yoni work and healing the spirit of that deep woundedness, that sexual woundedness, I began coughing. And,
Mm.
we noted like, oh, that's so interesting. And I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Like the opportunity for me to then say what was interesting wasn't a, the vulnerability of speaking out loud then brought me to like, oh, now the next level of vulnerability is what am I doing? Like now I have to like go super vulnerable and talk about what am I doing to heal myself? What is the yoni work that I'm doing? What is the spirit work that I'm doing? And it choked me up immediately. And it wasn't in my consciousness, but it came out, somatically. And, that's vulnerability in a nutshell, really. This incredible block, this ability for my body to rise up and want to resist, want to use those old protection mechanisms and be
Mm.
like, we talk about this. I'll tell you exactly what we don't talk about.
Mm.
This. We haven't been talking about this since you was a little small child and didn't even understand you weren't talking about it. Now you're going to sit up here and talk? And I've had a lot of time to ponder that.
And I wonder what our responsibility is as Black witches to move the culture forward, to move our communities forward, to move our families forward with vulnerability, because I feel like we probably put ourselves on the line with our, I mean, I know I do. I mean, even just doing this is a level of putting ourselves out there, even calling something the Black Witch Chronicles. So I don't feel like for me, I have an issue with that, even, and maybe even just being an artist. I don't feel like I have an issue with vulnerability. Um, my concern more is, how can I assist other people in taking those steps, in being vulnerable, in being truthful about the things that have happened to them, so that we can heal.
Slowly. I mean, it's baby steps, really. I mean, it's allowing one to do their work on their own time and just being present, I think. Um, there's a lot of women that come in for resources and they want to see the room where they have their pap smear. They want to talk to the person who will be doing it. They've had sexual trauma and they want to see the tools and implements that will be used in their visits. And we, as healers, have to be open enough to be like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain everything to you. This is a safe space. This is a healing space. This is your space. And at any time, you want to stop the story. You want to stop the investigation. You want to stop the physical or whatever is going on. You can. This is your space. Um, so just creating that co-creative space amongst healers and the person that are coming to be healed.
So the last time we talked, you asked us a question about sort of what were our practices. So I wonder, in looking at vulnerability and love, what are some of the practices that we engage in to bring that into our lives personally that we could recommend to other people?
Some of the practices that I have been employing for personally for me um, is being open to criticism. Really, being open to criticism. And that's tough for me. I'm an Aries. I have firepower. It is so hard for
Mm.
an Aries woman to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to listen. But recently I did that with for a full moon ceremony with my ex. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here on this side of the mother tree. LaTanya gave me a piece of the mother tree when I was in New Orleans, G. So the mother tree was centered between us.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to sit on this side of the mother tree and you sit on that side of the mother tree. And you tell me how you feel, how I've made you feel, how what is it that I did in this relationship. And that was very healing for her. And
Mm.
also for me. As I go into the next relationships, I'm not I'm able to have this space, this time in between to investigate some of the things that I want, some of the things that she told me, and employ them as a healing mechanism and a healing tool for myself and her.
So one of the things, and I love Dr. G went and got, what is that?
Piece of the mother tree
Mother tree.
from lasagna, yes.
Hi, Shayla Tanya.
I love
I
that.
hope she I hope she watches this video.
I think for me, one of the things that a practice is surrounding myself with people who aren't just like me, who really challenge my beliefs. And yeah, I like to run with really difficult people who yeah, who are just on another, like Republicans, like hardcore, yeah, and they challenge my beliefs, you know,
Not shame.
and who I like to tell myself I am. So,
Challenging of the belief systems. So you both are saying, that's that vulnerability, being
mm,
open to people who come from a completely different angle. And I
yeah,
think that's everything. And there's a, sort of any identity of social justice and fighting for justice can lead to a certain level of righteousness that can create a lot of blinders. I certainly know I've fallen to it myself,
hmm,
and I watch other people fall to it. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us to use those old protection mechanisms, because that's what they are. They're protection mechanisms. It's
Mhm.
saying, like, I'm very used to having people tell me, no, don't do the very thing that I most want to do. So much of growing myself up and being myself has been about not listening. That's what I'm finding interesting about vulnerability, is really having to realize, like, oh, my not listening at times, or my sort of dogged moving forward with my vision without getting the sort of counsel that I could use right now, is just a habit. It's a habit from having to be a survivor. And
yes,
I've co-created a life now where the people in my life can be trustworthy, and not only that, but my ori is trustworthy, my mind is trustworthy. I
mm,
can sit in an environment that would have been a hostile environment in the
mm,
past and still receive all the positivity, guidance, and goodness without having to be so immediately offended that a person's politic goes against mine, or that a person doesn't see eye to eye with me.
yeah,
And that's been a huge growth spurt for me.
yeah.
That's shame.
Shay.
So I know I wanted to like finish out this with I liked how we ended last time with giving some good remedies for healing. Um, and this week I brought some rue. Talk about love and some healing.
Oh wow.
Rue, so amazing. And it was given to me as a trade-off for a Reiki healing session. My friend Marlena, shout out Marlena, she brought me rue from her garden, and I gave her a Reiki healing session. So rue is it's a counter magic herb. A lot of people talk about like us being in this kind of hazy magic, powerful magic spell. And rue is a counter magic herb, and rue may be used to exorcise any item that has been in contact with negative feelings or unknown energies. Um, Rue can also be used to attract love, and the easiest approach to use rue is in a bathing herb. You can steep it and put it in a bath to attract love and to knock down some of the negative energy that you found yourself in or that your items have found themselves in.
Mm, okay.
Ashe.
All right. All right. So I have actually two things here. So one thing is this crystal, and it is called celestite. And
Mm.
I have found, and this is just one, I have a couple of chunks of celestite around. One, because blue is one of my favorite colors, but also celestite is to increase angelic communication. And so I use this during meditation. So I would say for folks that feel like they need more clarity, more direction, um, possibly more keying into their own personal truths, celestite. And this book called The Goddess Pages.
Mm.
It has lots and lots of goddesses in here, how to keep them with you, different affirmations for them. So, The Goddess Pages has been very
Okay.
healing these past couple months.
I also work quite a bit with stones. I would say that my mineral allies are very close to my heart. Really believing that there's so much cosmic wisdom downloaded into the earth that I can learn from the earth herself. So, um, I will play with all of my stone allies, all of my crystals. I brought my crystals. I'm in Florida, so I went to the beach today. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And today, and you can do it salt water in your own home if it's cold. But if you live near a beach, even if it's cold, you can go. The wave will take your item, though. You do have to be careful. Your item will be like, oh, great, I'll just go back out there into the great wide world.
Right.
So it does, they have a right to go where they want to go. So, don't cry about it or don't bring something you don't want to lose because it might make a getaway. But I find cleansing in salt water, cleansing your artes, your power objects, those that can be immersed anyway, in salt water. Tonight's a great night to do it. We have the moon up in the sky, nice and big, you can bury some of the stones. You can just leave them out in the moonlight. You can put them in salt water and make sure that clarity is there, especially at the start of a new year, so that, and talk to them, really look at them, admire them, and set them up. You might want to put crystals in the different four corners of your room. Also, a clear bowl of water, sometimes just a plain bowl of water, sometimes with Florida water and herbs like rue is great, sage, also what you mentioned last time, or just salt, and putting that out in the morning. A lot of people find that they do a lot of, we're so busy that we do a lot of our work at night while we're sleeping. So sleep is not the most restful thing that we're experiencing, and it's sometimes really hard to wake up and feel refreshed in the morning. Instead, people like myself wake up feeling anxious in the morning. And putting a bowl underneath the bed of water, a clear bowl. You want to use a glass bowl, ideally, right underneath that bed if you have an under the bed area, is very helpful, as well as gridding out your bedroom and really making that sleep space. Like, how much can a person commit to really believing that sleep is not just about conking out, that there's so much work that goes on there? Like, how can you really dream guides before you go to sleep, and ask that they be really clear with you? I always ask that they speak to me in like the plainest, regular English language. Like, I'm like, you got to break things down for me. I don't want to do as the crow flies right now. I'm too busy. I need to know. So I'll ask that I wake up refreshed. I'll ask that the important work be done and that it be clear, and that if it's really heavy work, that if it's not important that my consciousness know about it, that it remain in the other dimension, and that it doesn't come and cloud my consciousness. And I find that doing that intentionality setting before I go to sleep can really help me to have a more emotionally and mentally balanced state in the morning.
Ashe.
Gosh, dang. I
Mm-hmm.
shaped all of that wisdom. And look
Mm-hmm.
at Celeste. Look at, you see Celeste popping up, G? You got that Celestite out Oh my goodness, my
Oh,
granddaughter is so speaking.
you're what?
My granddaughter's name is Celeste.
My goodness.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. The little spirit guide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
honoring
Yeah.
ancestors crucial. If anyone
It's true.
ancestors, get one together. And
Right.
don't put negative ancestors that you feel some kind of way about on there. Call in ancestors that you want for support.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be people that are also related to you, too. It doesn't have to be biological family either. It can be, a figure. Somebody once told me it could be somebody like Harriet Tubman. It could be somebody like Sojourner Truth, just somebody that makes you feel, you know, good.
And loved. And loved. Um, yeah. So any last words?
2015 is working for me.
Yeah.
Word.
Starting
Hey,
out good. Starting out good.
you work for
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
2015. You work for me.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I'm expecting nothing but good, abundance, ease, and grace for us all. And
Yes.
should we announce that we'll be in New York for in April for live broadcasting of Black Witch Chronicles, all three of us?
Yeah, for your birthday.
For my
Ooh,
birthday, the birthday
ooh,
turn of Black Witch Chronicles
yes.
style.
Yeah.
NYC. I don't know. 2015 is our year.
I think
Yes.
so. I know so in my heart.
Mm.
And also I want to send a shout out to Fabiola Jean Louise.
Yes.
She's going to be doing our photo shoot, the amazing, amazing Fabiola. And I want to say happy birthday to Gaihichi and Shannon in New Orleans. Happy birthday, guys.
Happy
Birthday.
birthday.
Yes. So yeah,
All
everybody
right.
get pull something together. So New York people, get yourselves together because we can do a nice little. I mean, I'm feeling we can do, some divination and just call it. Folks can ask some questions and probably get some answers. 'Cause
Oh, ooh, like a
oh,
live broad.
together.
Because we got like what, 4 days or something crazy like that together?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do this. Yeah.
Actually.
I'm
Black
so
Witch
excited.
Chronicles,
Black,
NYC.
Black Witch Chronicles coming to you in April, New York City. Bye. We love you. Mwah.
Bye bye, Ashe.
Sure.